I wish I loved anything as much as the left apparently loves violent, criminal, illegal aliens, and of course desiring to keep them in this country. But thank goodness we have Donald Trump, who's not going to let that happen, because apparently he's going to deport anybody, anytime, any place, for any reason. And thank goodness for that. So we're going to see today, of course, is Scott Jennings completely bodying Abby Phillips on this exact same issue. But before we begin, don't forget to like and comment on this video so we can break through the algorithms. Here we go.
Tonight, a deportation dispute as the court clashes with President Trump over his immigration agenda. A federal judge says that the administration unquestionably violated a previous order when it tried to send detainees to war-torn South Sudan without giving them a chance to contest their removal. It's just the latest chapter in the ongoing tug-of-war between the judiciary and the executive as Trump plows forward with his border crackdown. DHS officials say they did nothing wrong.
While we are fully compliant with the law and court orders, it is absolutely absurd for a district judge to try to dictate the foreign policy and national security of the United States of America.
Vice President J.D. Vance echoed a similar message and took a swipe at the Supreme Court's Chief Justice, John Roberts, who said the judiciary's role is to check the executive.
I thought that was a profoundly wrong sentiment. That's one half of his job. The other half of his job is to check the excesses of his own branch. And you cannot have a country where the American people keep on electing immigration enforcement and the courts tell the American people they're not allowed to have what they voted for.
Journalist Tara Palmieri joins us at the table now. She's the author of The Red Letter on Substack. Tara, I thought it was really interesting. That interview with J.D. Vance was a lengthy one, but it was interesting that it coincided with a moment when the Trump administration is being directly accused by the court of just ignoring a court order. And it seems like they are starting to push into that territory of you can't stop us.
Right. I mean, what is the court supposed to do about it, right? They are talking about targeting the officials that are involved in the actual roundups and the actual deportations and like creating a situation for them where there are charges for those individuals just to work in the government and follow orders and commands. So maybe that's their only way of really doing it. But what are they supposed to do? Like, they don't have a militia or an army that all they can do is try to press charges and try to stop the individuals that carry out the act of the commander in chief. Trump chose a particularly interesting issue because these are violent criminals, and he'll keep saying, yes, these are violent criminals. Who cares where they go? And a lot of people might say, yeah, who cares? They're violent criminals. But like you said, they're pressing the boundaries of the power of the executive branch, and they're doing it in a very politically smart way.
Why do you think, Michael, that they're sending them to Sudan? Why not just send them to their
I think they're
countries of
attempting
origin?
to have a deterrence, to showcase to people you cannot continue to come to the United States. One, it's a national security problem. We have no idea who some of these people are. And two, it is a legitimate...
We know who these people are. I mean,
we don't know 20 million, however many of these people
I'm talking about
legally.
the ones that they're sending to Sudan.
Okay, but my point is, broadly speaking, for the most part, we have no idea who the people are who are coming into our country illegally. Number two, it is an excessive strain on all resources across the board. Healthcare, crime, school, education, healthcare. We don't have, I keep saying this, I don't know why Democrats don't understand this. We don't have unlimited resources
my question was, why
to
are
not,
they,
as a deterrence, to make it clear, if you come into the country, you will get sent somewhere you do not want to go.
So the idea here is that we are going to deter people by saying, you committed a crime here, maybe they did, and we're going to send you, hold on.
Okay, sorry, go ahead.
We're going to send you to a country where we're saying there's a civil war happening. There's a genocide occurring there. We don't know what's going to happen to them. Why not send them back to their countries of origin, which is what we do with everybody else?
We don't know what's going to happen to them there either.
I think that's
and they have broken the law, Abby. When you come into the country, you've committed a felony. And number two, you have to deter this behavior from continuing to happen because it has become a problem for this country.
So the deterrence is, like El Salvador, we'll send them to places where they might face imminent death.
Absolutely. And because that sends a message. If you come to the United States and break our laws, violate our immigration laws, it will have severe consequences.
So for unspecified crimes, we don't know exactly what all these people were convicted of. Maybe they were convicted. Hold on a second. They were convicted. Maybe they were convicted of very serious crimes.
I'll read it.
The penalty that the Trump administration says is appropriate potentially could be death.
I mean,
Right?
I'll read it. Sex offenders,
is that
homicide,
right, Scott?
kidnapping, murder in the first degree, battery, larceny, cocaine possession, murder, robbery,
Okay.
DUI, child sex
Okay,
abuse, and sex
yeah.
assault on someone with a mental
Scott.
illness. The Sudan is too good for these people.
Scott,
and
no.
I'm not sure any other country would take them.
But what about their home country?
I'm not sure they'll take them. Would you take that person
How
back?
do you know that?
Well, one of them came from Cuba.
No.
I have to say.
How do you know that?
I don't care what we do with them. These
don't
are
know.
heinous, violent criminals, and they do not need to be here. That's all I know.
Oh my goodness, Scott, Jennings just bodied Abby Phillips, okay? We don't know what crimes they've committed. Oh, can I read you a list? Here are some of the most heinous acts that a person can commit against another. These people are guilty of them, so yeah, we don't care where they're sent as long as they're the heck out of this country. But of course, Abby Phillips is saying, well, why can't they go back to the country of origin? Well, here's the problem. Do you remember Venezuela, how they didn't want to take back their Tren de Aragua, and Trump had to twist their arms in order to get them to agree to that? All right, we have that same scenario with other places. Why would they want the worst of the worst? Why would they want these violent criminals back in their own countries? Okay, but of course, here's the big issue. They're really upset that Trump is sending people to Sudan. Well, you were upset when Trump was trying to send people to El Salvador. You were upset when Trump was trying to send people simply to their own countries and kick them out. But what Donald Trump has learned is that basically, once you get them out of this country, they ain't coming back. So who cares where you send them, right? Just get them on a plane and whoosh, they're gone. And by the way, the Trump administration has also said that Sudan is not necessarily the final destination because we know where these people are at. We may just have to work with the governments a little bit to make sure they end up in the proper prisons, okay? But either way, they are gone and they should not be allowed in this country. But as I said before, the left doesn't care, all right? The new mascot is the illegal immigrant. It doesn't matter how many crimes they've actually committed, how many identities they've actually stolen, and how much money they've taken from the taxpayer. They just want them to stay in this country. And even though we've discussed the polls at length that show that the vast majority of Americans want every single illegal immigrant removed, regardless of the fact of whether they're violent or not, all right? We want them all gone. So Trump is just trying to follow through with that mandate. And that actually raises another interesting question because you have a lot of local or state or federal judges coming out and saying, hey, Trump, you can't deport these people. Well, you make their rulings and then how are you going to enforce that ruling, all right? Especially because we have to wait for it to get all the way up through the upper echelons of the Supreme Court. And as J.D. Vance rightly points out, the Supreme Court's job is not to only check the executive's power, it's basically to check their own power as well, because you can't encroach on executive authority, things that are clearly outlined in the Constitution that they can do, all right? Because all you would have to have is a simple majority in the courts to say, guess what? Those powers are no longer yours. And then what, we're supposed to follow that? No, we're going to follow the Constitution and the executive powers that Donald Trump has. So we have to see how this is all going to play out, but I'm pretty sure these people are not coming back. So thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to like, share, comment, subscribe, and say hi to your mom for me. Do you like t-shirts? Of course you do. And now you can support the channel by buying an Angry Teacher t-shirt designed by me, Angry Teacher. So if you like America, if you like freedom, if you like liberty, then go ahead and click the link in the description where all designs, of course, are 100% mother approved. So enjoy yourself and find something you like today.